Look, we've seen a move, I guess, recently. New Zealand Post, well publicised, pushing into the Yellow Pages space. Trade Me is getting into the whole business search directories area as well. So, aside from Google, there's more competition there. How do you view those two in particular, Trade Me and New Zealand Post?
Well, look, competition's good. We have historically been a monopoly. And when we were part of Telecom, we were very much a part of a monopolistic regime, and a lot of the marketplace would probably suggest that we still operate as if we are. We are very conscious that we're not. We have to perform on behalf of our advertisers, and I think bringing competition into our environment is fantastic because it'll make us a better business. As we've already seen with some of the announcements of late, it certainly gives the sector more profile, more people talk about it. And what I know from my previous life in the magazine industry is just because somebody launches a new magazine doesn't mean everybody else's readership or sales go down. What it invariably does is it grows the market. And so we anticipate that usage in our sector will actually go up as a result of increased competition. And as the major player, sitting on, depending on how you analyse it, 85 to 90% market share, if usage across the sector grows, well, that's good for us.
One of the big issues that's cropped up, I guess, from a global perspective for directories businesses, or certainly an Australasian perspective, has been in Australia this year where Census, Telstra's directories business, has been fighting a copyright case, which they lost the first round of, where a judge ruled there was no copyright in the Yellow or White Pages. They've appealed that, and there's no judgment out on that yet.
Sure.
You've also had some copyright issues in court in New Zealand, I think, with a couple of parties that are still live.
Yep.
How concerned are you about these copyright issues?
Look, they're there in the background. They're relevant issues for the industry to contemplate and be aware of. I'm of the view, as you'd expect me to be, that if we are the people that are collating the information, putting it through a range of computer systems and processes and presenting it in a book format or in an online format, then as the company that's orchestrating the presentation of that content, that we should own the copyright. And I don't detect on the New Zealand landscape any activity or any commentary which would suggest that that's not the case. The Census case is obviously there in the back of everybody's mind, but look, simply put, we've got to do a great job for our advertisers. The way we will do that is by providing a content experience that's better than anybody else can do, and a content experience that encourages people who, when they are in the mood to buy a good or a service, to go to one of our properties and make contact with one of our advertisers. The neat thing about the Yellow Pages experience is that 85% of the people who use the Yellow Pages are doing so because they've made a decision to buy something. Now, there's not another advertising medium, those ads that are pushed through your car radio or pumped into your living room at night while you're trying to watch the sports news. Those ads are not targeted at people who've decided to buy something. They're targeted in a very blanket way. The Yellow Pages ad, we know from research, as I say, 85% of the people who go to the Yellow Pages and pick up the phone to call a locksmith or a beauty spa or whatever else it might be, have actually made the decision to buy something. And so, yes, you can talk about copyright, but the reality is the most important thing is that we have an advertising medium and a content base and a delivery mechanism that enables us to continue to deliver that sort of outcome for our advertisers. And whether or not we own copyright in it sort of becomes secondary to our ability to perform.
But you'll certainly defend your copyright.
Absolutely, and every publisher should. Look, I got involved again in the magazine industry with copyright arguments over photographs between the people that took the photos and the people that organised the photo shoot, which was the magazine company. And as a publisher of any sort, you absolutely have to defend your copyright, your ability to put together content and to present it in the way that you see fit. So any publisher would defend copyright to the fullest extent possible, I think.
Another announcement that's come out since the sales process ended is you're hiring, I think, around 100 staff.
Yep.
Now, is this is this expanding on what you've got, or is this also, is there an element here of replacing people? I mean, I don't know if the staffing numbers have dropped much since the sale from Telecom.
Look, in the immediate aftermath of the sale from Telecom, as the new owners went through the process of putting in place, I guess, a business model that they felt would work for them, there were some staff cuts, not particularly aggressive, but a number of staff cuts across the board. But in the last 18 months, as we've looked at the business, one of the things I've looked at very closely is the quality of experience we're providing for our customer. So that is the advertiser who we're dealing with day to day. Are we having a high quality conversation with them? Are we giving them the appropriate amount of information and time to make the commercial decision that they have to make about advertising in our properties? And so if you look at that, we simply, and our levels of customer service, I guess, in terms of follow-up service, come into that as well. If you look at that, as of a year ago, we formed a view that we weren't providing the level of service that we think our customers should demand of us. So the 100 people plan that you've referred to is a response to that. It's about putting more salespeople into the marketplace, so as our salespeople have got more time to spend with the customers and can cover our customers more effectively. I think the other part of it is you have to keep in mind that 3 or 4 years ago this company was selling 1 or 2 products, the Yellow Pages and the White Pages. Now we have Yellow Pages, White Pages, locals, online, mobile, iPad, iPhone. So a real portfolio of advertising properties within the Yellow network, and that takes our salespeople more time to explain, and it takes our customers longer to get their heads around. So it was just absolutely clear to us that we needed, even to maintain the existing levels of revenue, we needed to do a much better job of servicing our client base, and that's where the 100 extra people idea came from.
So where will that take your overall staffing levels to?
We're sitting just a shade under 600 people at the moment in New Zealand, and we'll probably finish up, as a result of this phase, at about 620. And then as we roll out the new digital strategy, we believe that we will need to increase our digital sales team as well. You've
talked about seeing a future, a solid future still for the books. So can we anticipate to see any new books, new directories launched?
Yeah, absolutely. We've had for some time a very successful locals component to our books. So aside from the big regional Yellow Pages, White Pages that people are familiar with, the local books like in Auckland's case, the North Shore Directory, the Waitakere Directory. And so we believe there's a lot more opportunity in that. We also believe there's a lot of opportunity around smaller regions and being able to focus on smaller communities, both online and in print. So we're looking at some vehicles there as well. So you'll continue to see a lot of innovation on the print side. We do believe in the print story. We've got the usage numbers, as I said, to support it. And if we talk to both our advertisers and our users, we are getting very strong support from focus groups and the likes to continue to develop that area. So we will continue to do so.
From what you're saying, it'll be a matter of targeting areas, regions, communities, rather than industries?
Look, I think one of the neat things that the content build does is it gives you all sorts of other opportunities. And if I can use a simple example, restaurants. Now, historically, we have been name, address, telephone number, restaurant, cafe. Now, we own a property called menus.co.nz, and that has enabled us to build a portfolio of information around restaurants and cafes, which includes, in some cases, the profile of the chef. It includes a map of how to get there. It includes where to park. It'll include the menu. It may have something about the philosophy of the food and whether it's a French restaurant or an Italian restaurant. So if you follow that, you can see that all of a sudden we've got a lot more information about restaurants than we used to have. Now, ostensibly, you tend to build that because of your desire to pursue the digital opportunity. But if you think that through, once you've got that information for a couple of hundred restaurants, all of a sudden you've got a restaurant guide, which could be a print publication. And so we're absolutely of the view that as we continue to build our content, more print opportunities will come. And I see the Yellow Pages of the future not being a regional Yellow Pages and a regional White Pages, or not being limited to that. I think they'll still be there for some time yet. But it might be like the Lonely Planets that are on your bookshelf at home. You might have a dozen books on your bookshelf which are Yellow Pages publications, and one might be a restaurant guide, and one might be an in your car guide, and so on and so forth. So lots of opportunities.
Now, coming out of the sales process, there's been a bit of speculation around the management of the company, the future management of the company. What's the future hold for Bruce Cotterill? And who do you actually do you now answer to? You report to the banks, the shareholders who bought the business off Telecom, Unitas and Teachers Private Equity, Private Capital. Are they out of the picture altogether now?
So you've asked a whole lot of questions in one. So firstly, the shareholders. Shareholders are still there. They've been working with the banking syndicate, cooperating with them. The board of directors, that is a board that's representative of our shareholder group. They remain our current board of directors. So in essence, as the CEO, I report to that board. But it is a case of many masters at the moment. And so in addition to that, we have the banking syndicate that's being operated and is taking an interest in our business. So I also have a lot of interaction with them and an attempt to keep them informed on what we're doing as well. In terms of Bruce Cotterill, well, I've said right from the outset I'll see it through, and getting us now through the restructure is that, and at that point, once the restructure is complete, there'll be a new board of directors put in place, and I guess it will be for that board of directors and me to talk about whatever happens next. But look, this is a fantastic business. It's a fantastic team of people. It's a team of people I love working with, and if there's an opportunity to continue, I probably will.
I mean, you've had some challenging roles in your career. I think obviously you've talked about ACP, Canterbury, the clothing company, among others. How does this one rate, I mean, in terms of a challenge?
Oh, this is the toughest. I think prior to this, the toughest was either ACP or Colliers Australia, the real estate group. And in that case, it was coming into that sector immediately after the impact of the property crash from the late 80s, early 1990s. Look, this is difficult for a whole lot of reasons. You've got almost a perfect storm. You've got the global advertising spend. You've got the perception, real or otherwise, of the structural shift away from print, and you've got the debt issue that the company has. So you're trying to manage all of those things and hold the business together and keep people in their jobs and all that stuff. So this is pretty tough. It's been pretty tough for the entire management team. There's been a couple of casualties along the way, as people know, and that's okay. It's not for everybody, but it's the team of people who have stuck to the task have done a fantastic job. They are working really hard, working harder than people should, and continuing to deliver pretty good outcomes, both in terms of the innovation and change that we're trying to drive through the business, but also the financial results that we've been achieving. So yeah, this has been a pretty tough one.
Well, thanks for coming in, Bruce. It's Bruce Cotterill, the CEO of Yellow Pages Group, and I'm Gareth Vaughan from interest.co.nz, wrapping up another Double Shot interview.